So, Sarah Huckabee Sanders was refused service at a restaurant. You may have heard about it. It was a mean thing to do, but in the new era where mean girls rule, some mean girls think it's a plus. Washington Post Jennifer Rubin wrote a piece on the lost art of shunning, in which she feels for the restaurant owner. But Jennifer, shunning's not a lost art. It was once used to ostracize people for religious reasons. It's extremism. But Jennifer hates Trump and everyone linked to him, so maybe extremism is warranted, right? Meanwhile, Maxine Waters wants more than just shunning.
If you see anybody from that cabinet in a restaurant, in a department store, at a gasoline station, you get out and you create a crowd. And you push back on them. And you tell them they're not welcome.
You are not welcome at this gasoline station. So where will this end? Well, we saw how it started.
If you vote for Trump, then you, the voter, you, not Donald Trump, are standing at the border like Nazis going, you here, you here. And I think we now have to flip it. And it's a given the evilness of Donald Trump. But if you vote, you can no longer separate yourself.
Ugh, what a dope. Why is the guy yelling Nazi often best at imitating one? He just branded millions of people, which opens doors to anything, and shunning is the least of it. Harassment, name-calling, violence, or coming right to your home to terrify your family.
Free the kids! Free the kids! Free the kids! Free the kids! Shame! 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 Shame!
So, what if shunning went both ways? What if cops ignored 911 calls because of politics? Who do you think the police supports more anyway? Nancy Pelosi or Donald Trump? It's an easy guess. But the police would never, ever do that because they know what it means to serve the public. What's as bad as shunning? How about desiring a person's presence only as hired help? When pondering this new tribalism among restaurants, leftist Matthew Iglesias snarked, who is going to cook at Republican-only restaurants? Thank you, Maddie. Now we know the real reason liberals love Mexicans and Hondurans. They expect them to vote their way, but only after their shift's over in the kitchen. All right, Dana, should Maxine walk it back? I have a feeling she's not going to walk it back.
I don't think she's going to, but Nancy Pelosi tried to.
Right.
So she tweeted that that's unacceptable, and that she wants to make America beautiful again. And she did take a moment to say, like, this is that people are reacting to something, meaning Trump, but she was not for the incivility. But Maxine Waters, certainly not. It's because everything is national news now.
Yeah.
Maxine Waters, years ago, in her district, it wouldn't have been front-page news everywhere. But now you do run the risk that somebody like Maxine Waters paints everybody in the Democratic Party with a broad brush. But what she's discussing is something super unhealthy. It is obnoxious. And what I'm concerned about is for people who think this is good, what happens then if somebody feels cornered? Like, we are creatures that want to survive. If you feel cornered, you will fight back.
Right.
And this could escalate very quickly.
Yeah. You know, Juan, I'm torn about the restaurant thing because I'm a libertarian, and I feel like you should, if you don't want somebody at your restaurant, is that more of an accepted practice because that stance is no longer tethered to causing hardship? It's not like the 60s. So if I say you can't come in here, that might be the only restaurant in town. So is this more acceptable because it's not as hard to find another place to go? Do you follow me?
No, I didn't, but I'm trying. So, were you suggesting like in the 60s this was over race?
Yeah, well, and also it created a real hardship. But these days, she could go to another restaurant. I'm just wondering.
Oh, for a black person in the 60s, maybe there wasn't another restaurant available. Well,
yeah, that's my point, yeah.
Certainly there were black restaurants you could go to. So, but that's a different story in the sense that there's a tremendous and sad history in terms of race and exclusion. I don't think, even President Trump wouldn't say there's any history of Trump supporters being excluded from restaurants.
Yeah, I get. No, what I'm saying is it okay now because there are so many other options in general for people that if you say, I don't want you in my restaurant, you can go somewhere else. That's the point I'm making.
I don't think it was the right thing to do. And I would pick up on what Dana said. I think Nancy Pelosi said it. The Washington Post said it, editorial board. David Axelrod, who was Obama's chief political strategist, said the same thing. Axelrod put it in these terms. He said, Trump has really been rough in terms of his use of language and a lot of the kind of things he's encouraged his supporters to do. But it's not a reason, it doesn't justify then being a lack of civility or rudeness to people who you have a different point of agreement, a point of disagreement with. That it will just lead us all down the road to hell here, where we reduce ourselves to tribalism, and we're shouting and screaming at each other and breaking apart our common bonds as Americans. I just don't think it's good.
Yeah. You know, speaking of tribalism and Trump, Jesse, I do think there's a difference between Trump and this in the sense that his whatever you call that thing he did was directed at other Republicans for the longest time. It wasn't an ideological origin, right?
Yes, I don't see the similarity with the restaurant thing. And like you said, you're a libertarian, so maybe it's illegal to, you know, ban someone you don't like from the restaurant. It doesn't make it right.
Yeah.
But I think this behavior just plays into Donald Trump's hands. Remember the last, couple years under the Obama administration, you had Antifa, you had racial riots, you had open borders, chaos, even before you had Occupy Wall Street. President Trump was elected to clean up that kind of mess. And the American people fundamentally are decent people. They want other people to be respected, and they're not going to tolerate kind of rageaholics disrupting law-abiding Americans from having dinner. And I believe it starts with the left and the media's demonization of Republicans. If you spend a year and a half saying Donald Trump, his cabinet, and the 60 million Americans who voted for him are Nazis, that is going to incite people to treat people like Nazis and yell at them and harass them and put their lives at danger. And the Nazi comparison is lazy, historically inaccurate, and it means they've lost the argument. So I believe this is happening because Trump is winning, not losing, and this is driving the left crazy. He's securing the borders, and that is a threat to the left. They can't handle it. They're not acting like they're going to win in November. They're frantic, and they're acting like they're desperate because this is all they have left. And if he succeeds and he is reelected, they have nothing. So you have the people like Peter Fonda, you have Maxine Waters, Kathy Griffin. They are literally melting down before our eyes, and there's no one in the Democratic Party that can control them, and it's just helping Donald Trump succeed. And his numbers are at record high right now.
Hey, Kimberly, Charles Krauthammer just passed away. He had a phrase that we all remember, which was, as a conservative, we think they are wrong, but the left thinks we're evil.
Yeah.
And I think this is the problem, is that if they think that you're evil, they can do anything to you. If they think you're a Nazi, then morally, they are right to go after you.
Right. It justifies the level of vitriol and, the rhetoric that is just so, repugnant to attack people or someone's family, to be able to say to somebody, you can't eat here at this restaurant, yet they fight for the cases for even, like, say, gay rights to be able to have a wedding cake made or something of that nature. So there's a real, hypocrisy latent in there. But if they feel justified, like with the Antifa and others that say, well, we're fighting against evil, against something like the devil, then they say they're justified in doing it morally and ethically, so therefore anything goes. Like somebody like Maxine Waters calling for this, or calling to put, a child in a cage with pedophiles, making personal attacks against families, or increasing sort of the level of rhetoric and hate to say, go after them personally. I mean, can you imagine Sarah Sanders or her family going into a restaurant and you could tell somebody you can't eat there? I mean, this is so far, like, going back, in time. This isn't moving forward in terms of civility of discourse and disagreeing with somebody versus, hating their guts and saying, I can do anything to you, whether it's rhetoric or whether it's physical violence, to justify my cause because of, who you are and what you stand for.
But I don't think, let me just say, I don't think this started before. I think a lot of this is out of Trump's rhetoric and the way that Trump speaks and Trump policies. And so I didn't see this happening under Obama. I don't remember this happening under, even when there was anger, remember George W. Bush about not finding weapons of mass destruction and crude things about blood flow. But I don't remember this kind of acting out on either side. But what you have now is, I think, people focusing on this and not on the policy. And a lot of people, in fact, most Americans don't like separating children from parents. And that's what all this is about.
Well, they could have solved that problem, but crying Chuck Schumer refused to act in the Senate and did nothing about it and waited until it became a hot-button issue to hurt President Trump.
Sure,
and
Jesse,
I don't think it's fair to criticize Donald Trump for people treating the people that work for him like animals. That's not right.
Donald
It's not
Trump
his
treating the people that work for him.
No, when people protest Sarah Huckabee Sanders, you can't blame that on Donald Trump, which you just did.
Oh my
I think
gosh.
that's unfair, and that's on them. That is on them. That is not on Donald Trump.
If you go to a Donald Trump rally and Donald Trump is standing up there and saying, "I'll pay legal fees if any of you want to beat up some of these people," I mean, what is going on?
We all know now that the people swinging were paid protesters
How about
from the
Donald
DNC.
Trump, Donald Trump saying, "Oh, if Hillary Clinton is elected and appoints a Supreme Court judge who does anything to your gun rights, well, I guess you Second Amendment people have to take." I mean, come on.
But there hasn't been examples of radical, violent, and hateful Trump supporters disrespecting people in public places like restaurants, like is happening on the other side.
Oh, what do you call that lady getting run over a year ago in Charlottesville, Jesse?
I think that
I wouldn't blame Donald Trump for that. I would
that's
blame
not his
that
supporters?
individual for that.
I see. Very interesting.
the problem
so then how do you blame the restaurant owner? Nobody in the Democratic Party told the restaurant owner what to do.
Wait a second. The people on the Democratic Party have been calling Trump a Nazi and saying, and like Maxine Waters saying, I encourage you to go call people out to their face and refuse them service.
I think we can.
I blame her.
I think the whataboutism thing can go on forever. You can go from Charlottesville. You can go back to Scalise, Kathy Giffords. You can go back to protesters calling Vietnam vets baby killers. You can go as far back as that. It doesn't. I mean, it doesn't help.